wake up and put the socks on the same way and then go work for that same, do something. Like I said
Right.
earlier, success not going to come to you. You got to go get it.
If you're within 3 feet of me, we're probably talking about real estate, much to my family's chagrin. But here's the thing. Most people see 7% rates and freeze. I see opportunity. They're waiting for the perfect deal, and well, I've analyzed thousands of them, and perfect just doesn't exist. So I talk to operators across every asset class, flippers, multifamily syndicators, note investors, and whatever else is working. No sales pitches allowed, just real lessons from people actually doing it. I'm Ed Matthews, and this is Real Estate Underground. Greetings and salutations, Real Estate Undergrounders. It is Ed Matthews again with the Real Estate Underground. I am really fired up for this conversation. The gentleman I'm interviewing today literally lives in paradise, and we're going to get to that in a second. But thank you so much for all your comments and follows and subscriptions. Those comments, keep them coming, because it gives me ideas, gives us ideas on topics we could be talking about, and also folks that we should be meeting. And that's actually how I met this gentleman. Was somebody, one of you out there had reached out to our team to say, hey, you really need to talk to Fuzzy. So here we are. Fuzzy Jardine, thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome and aloha, my friend.
Hello, Ed, and thank you for me on. I just wanted to talk to the audience of yours. What are you focusing on today? What you're focusing on today will determine what can happen for your tomorrow.
Absolutely. Manifestation's a real thing, man. So for those folks who haven't discovered you on YouTube or Instagram yet, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do for a living?
Yeah, so I'm a local boy from Hawaii, born and raised, Hawaiian Portuguese guy, one of them guys that you see at the beach, ripping, surfing. That's me. Got myself into a little bit of trouble growing up because I hung around with the family members and the friends that were involved with alcohol and drugs. And that path went down. Excuse me. That path went down and led me to prison because of the choices I made and the people who I hung around with. But while I was there, I had an opportunity to change my life. And that's exactly what happened. I educated myself in there, read books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, all of his books. I read a bunch of educational books to help me be a better person when I come out. And exactly happened. When I came home, it was tough to get a job. And, with your ex-cons, like, okay, go apply for jobs. I went to one of the first jobs that I wanted to get was go work as a car salesman. And believe it or not, all the big top car salesmen was like, dude, you got a record. We can't hire you. Go and slammed the door. I was like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? But it was a good friend of mine who I was locked up with. He had a window cleaning company that gave me an opportunity. I got myself a job, worked my way up to a management role. But I always knew that real estate was something that I always wanted to get involved with. And I read a lot of those books inside, but there was nobody teaching it. Some way, somehow, I was able to come across a radio station that were investors that was from Connecticut. They were coming to Hawaii, and they're looking for people to be part of their team here in Hawaii. And I was like, dude, that's me. I want to go learn. It was $26,000 for the education. I did not have the money, but I was able, because I had the jobs, I was able to pay for the education. And that got me sitting right in front of you today as a real estate developer. I've built over 100 plus homes for local families here at affordable prices. And when I mean affordable prices, it's like from $300K to $425 in paradise. And,
Wow.
it's because it's on a different island and not on the main islands where, average homes here cost about $1 million, but it's in a different island where it's more rural. So that's what I'm doing now. And I'm also an educator. I'm one of those locals who been there, done that. And now, okay, look, I can show you it's possible, because if I can do it, you can too. And I have a mentorship program with a business partner. She's from Maui, humble beginnings, and then created the Hui Mastermind. Super stoked to share my story, because I know there's a lot of knuckleheads like me out there that needs to hear it.
Yeah, I'll tell you, man, I admire how you've turned your life around. And and how successful you are. It's proof positive that man, everybody makes mistakes, right? And some of us get caught and some of us don't. But the fact is that you were able to use that time to rethink who you were and what was important to you and educate yourself, which is the most important thing. And whether you're doing time or you're working a job you hate, you've got to make the time to be able to become the person you need to be in order to realize the success that a person like Fuzzy is now achieving. Hats off to you, sir. And when I first discovered your story, I found you, like I said, through a listener, and then I found you on Instagram. Your story is incredible. I really want to get into that. I also want to get into the Pono Way, and I want to learn more about that. Yeah. I'll leave it to you to tell the story, but where would you like to begin?
You wanted to talk about my journey as far as becoming a real estate investor, or?
Absolutely. Yeah. Why real estate? You're obviously a smart guy, and real estate. What's that?
I made bad choices.
Like I said, we've all been there, man. In terms of starting the business and looking at the various asset classes, you could have built houses, you could go into apartments, you could do other types of real estate, you could do other types of businesses. But why building houses? Why was that important to you?
I just didn't all of a sudden become a developer. It was because I was an action taker because I have a addictive personality. When I was younger, I was doing drugs. I was definitely addicted to all of that stuff. But then when I went through prison and I got time to, like I was saying earlier, realize where that where that took me. And did I want to go stay in that situation? And I looked around me while I was in there and just seen knuckleheads just doing the same thing. And that's not what I wanted to do in my life. I wanted to be that person in my family to break that curse of being in prison or be creating something to leave behind. Because in these books that I was reading, it was like leaving a legacy, making money from residual income, from businesses or from rental properties. And that's what got my mind thinking of these guys, the guys that I was hanging around in there who were educated, white-collar crime guys, right? I was in the drug side with the drug guys who sold drugs and stuff, but those guys were just going to go back and do the same thing because those connections is even better in there, right? So I could have chose to do that. And there's a recidivism of people who come out of prison. It's already going to 90% of people coming out, going back in. Didn't want to do that. So the thing was I needed to change the game, change the plan. So when I got out, I was searching for something. I read a lot of books and got educated from guys in there that were real estate investors as well. But I knew where I grew up with my grandparents on the Big Island, the properties were super cheap. It was more on a rural side where there's gravel roads, but there was power and electric and telephone. But I knew once I learned this strategy on how to become a real estate investor, I'll be able to invest there. But how I got involved was because the coaches led me to do certain things, strategies, how to find deals. That was the number one thing that they taught me. So I went out and I posted bandit signs. I went on Craigslist, posted things called, like my ad would say, Fuzzy buys houses cash. And then that's how I got involved. Got a call from a developer, and he was another local guy, and he was looking to sell one of his projects. And from there, I built a relationship with the guy, and I ended up telling him, hey, can I learn from you? What do I need to do? And all he said was, bring the money. Here's the business plan, and I'll give you a split equity, and I'll teach you. And that's how I started. From the coaching, but I took action. That's the number one thing I learned, and then took action from what I learned.
Stay with us. We'll be right back. A motivated seller just filled out your web form. If you call back within 5 minutes, you're nearly 4 times more likely to get that seller appointment. But delay your follow-up by even just 10 minutes? Forget it. You're toast. Ella Vista Connect calls that lead back in 60 seconds, qualifies them, and schedules your meeting. Find out how much slow follow-up is costing you. Free calculator at ellavista.com/underground.
I'm in. Yeah, and that's it, right? I've been on this earth for 56 years now, and the one key ingredient that I've seen with people that are successful versus not successful, take action, do something, right? And because as Wayne Gretzky, the hockey player, used to say, you miss 100% of the goals you never take a shot at. And so it's a tremendous story. So how did you go from finding deals, being a bird dog, and I would imagine you were wholesaling some of the deals and flipping some of the deals, to development of houses and all that? What was that transition like?
Yes, believe it or not, yes, I had those jobs. I had 3 jobs when I came out. First was a window cleaner. Then I got a surfing instructor. I was teaching people how to surf in Waikiki. And then I also started working as a valet driver because I was cleaning the windows at the hotel anyway. So I was had no time to do anything. But when that radio station came across, I was absolutely ready for it. You know, when they say, when the student is ready, the teacher appears, right?
Yes.
That radio station or commercial came on, and this was the Fortune Builders. I don't know if Than Murrow and his team. Bro,
I live in Connecticut. I know those guys.
That was who I learned from. So the coaches, there were coaches here in Hawaii, and that's how I was able to link up with them. But at that time, my parents, when I was starting my education process, my parents were going through foreclosure. So they're going through a hard time. So I brought that to the coaches, and they were able to show me exactly what they did to be able to help people like my parents to get out of that situation. So I watched it step by step. And then after they sat down with my parents and then showed them their options and what they could do for them, we left the house, and I was in the car with them. I said, look, whatever it is you guys need me to do, I will do for free. I will work for you guys for free. You know, I want to learn what you guys are doing. So from there, those strategies that they were doing, because they were fix and flippers. They would buy properties, fix it up, flip it, and then they would also rent them out too. So the wife was in the military, and they were super smart. But that was my key to start my journey, in this real estate business, because I knew real estate all around Hawaii. There's so much people that's not from Hawaii coming to Hawaii, buying properties, fixing it up, and then flipping it, and then using it to keep their family or build their family wealth tree. Why not us? Are we watching other people doing it? Stay still, like we're talking about. You got to take action for your success, because it's not going to come for you.
So tell me about the Pono Way.
Yeah. The Pono Way is just like this. We treating each other with respect. There's a lot of, I would say, greed when there's any type of money involved, any type of real estate, right? You hear the word sharks, any business, right? Sales sharks, you got real estate agents sharks, you got investors are sharks. So when it's Pono, it's thinking, so say you find an opportunity that a lady that is going through hard times cannot pay her mortgage. And this was an opportunity that came my way through another student. I didn't even look for the deal. It came to me. He was like, hey, I have an opportunity. Those ladies, I think she's having trouble. She cannot pay for her mortgage. Can you present this to the coaches? So what happened was I presented it to the coaches, and this was an opportunity for us to treat this as a Pono Way, because this could have been my mom, my auntie, my grandma, right? So what we did was we actually negotiated to purchase her property, or it was a subject to plus owner finance, because we were willing to give her money up front and then money in the back, plus interest on top of that. So we ended up using the coach's money, their own money, plus a hard money company to do the whole deal, structure the deal. And then what we did was we took the lady she had no family, bro, no family. So the other student, we helped her get an apartment for, I think it was 3 or 6 months. We paid that for her, put her in there. And then we also got her a car so she could get around. And then we fixed it up, flipped it, and then also gave her some more money at the back end. And then I made about 12 grand. And like everybody made money. And then the Pono Way is, another investor would have came in, swooped it up. She would have been on the street and not been able to, she would have been walking on the street. Who knows where she was going to be? But that's when I say the Pono Way is doing things out of respect, out of love. That's what the Pono strategy is all about. Like,
I think that's awesome, man. Yeah, I tell people all the time, I'm like, I am not in the business of making people homeless. And we come across on our fix and flip business, we come across people every day that are just the good, hardworking people. Something happened and it's caused this domino effect of things in their lives, and they just need a clean, fresh break. And when you take it from the way you do it, in terms of you're solving people's problems, right? And it's not just, hey, I need to sell my house. It's, hey, I also need to be able to create a foundation to move forward on.
Yep.
And congratulations to you for having the character to do that for that lady. Even though she didn't have family, there's certainly somebody watching over her, and I'm sure they were appreciative.
Yes, that was definitely one of my first projects that I did besides the brand new build. So it was an eye opener to know that there's definitely, I've been in this business for a while, so there's definitely a lot of people that would have done it differently. And,
right on. So tell me about the Hui Mastermind.
Yeah,
what are you doing with that?
So the Hui Mastermind, it's a community that Asha Smith, my business partner, created. We first started, I met her on social media because this was during a COVID time, and we had a lot of time to be online and be at home. So when I started seeing her and one of my good friends that signed up, she was another Fortune Builder student, and I see them posting how to invest in real estate, how to become private money lenders. Because I was doing my brand new builds, I wanted to learn the social media side, so I reached out. She never reached back out. She'd message the word invest. I would message the word invest. It funneled me to one of her coaches, Ryan Pineda. I signed up with his program, and it worked, right? I was able to start my journey with social media on Instagram and how to post and what kind of cameras to use, the mics, and just awesome program. But I really I would have paid her the money. Little time went by, and then I was like, you know what? I really need to talk to her because I think she would be awesome to collaborate with, to share to locals here in Hawaii that it's possible to build homes at affordable prices. So we did a webinar on what I was doing. I was able to reach out to her. Finally, she agreed, let's do a webinar. We did the webinar, and everybody was blown. How can this local guy do something like this? And back then, I was selling the houses for $230, and the prices have changed, right? Now it's like $100K more, but it's still affordable. And we created a bus tour, and that bus tour was even crazier because more people were like, what? Because we showed the proof of concept, right? Where I was getting the plans drawn up, having it submitted, where I got the materials from, raw land to every stages of the build process. And there was like, holy crap, Fuzzy, this is crazy. Do you teach? And at that time, we're like, no, we don't teach. But I was talking to Zasha, locals here need us, and we got to step up to the plate to create something that we wish. Zasha and I, we already created success for our own families. So now what we did was we climbed out the bucket, and we're tilting the bucket and reaching down below to pull other people out who's ready, right? There's a lot of people that are out there that, are not ready, and they need to hear mindset. Sometimes it's mindset and the people they hang around with. But once you're ready, there's teachers out there, Asha and I, that's local, that's willing to teach you. We do free stuff all the time. Like we do meetups. We go to projects that, our students are doing or our projects. And then we also do master classes every
coming
month.
Up.
Yes, we have one coming up on the 25th, which is awesome. We're going to be teaching on how to start in this real estate. I'll get started with not even using the bank like Zasha and I do, where we use other people's money to fund our deals.
Awesome. All All right, man. Hey, I'd love to. I could talk about this stuff for hours, but we let's get into the lightning round, and then we can talk about you a little bit more. Obviously, you've been very successful, and you've done an amazing job of turning your life around and really doing good along with it, right? And so, I'm curious, what gets you out of bed on Monday morning? What's your purpose?
It's my family. It's all I seen growing up with my grandparents, my mom. Like my grandfather had just always working, wake up early in the morning, come home late at night. And then my mom too, she had 2 or 3 jobs. I think I fall in line with the hard work to be able to leave something behind for my children and my family and be that person that changed that curse that we have where living paycheck to paycheck. And I just see other families or other kids that I went to school with who had, their parents were successful because they created businesses or who knows, they were in real estate as well. But, I wanted to be that person to change that circle. And that's why I
breaking that
for my
cycle.
family, like your Ohana.
Awesome. Yeah, breaking that cycle is one of the greatest things you can do for your kids. All right, so let's talk about mentors. And you've had some really amazing ones. I'm curious about the best advice you ever got and who gave it to you.
It's a really good question. There's so many mentors that came through my life, and I think I was in prison, and there was this guy named Mr. Z, and I was supposed to meet with him at a certain time, and I was late, right? And he told me that the most important thing in business is to be on time. Right? Because it shows your character. It shows who you are. Yes, respect. And after that, I'd made sure that as much as I could never be late, or make sure that he also told me another one. This is a good question, that, if you make a mistake, fess up quickly, admit you're wrong. Don't let it drag on, because it's just going to be worse off for you.
Couldn't agree more. So speaking of mistakes, I think we learn more from our mistakes than we do our successes. Yes. Yeah. And so I'm curious about, and this is going to be an interesting conversation with you, but I'm curious about a decision you'd love to have back, personal or professional, it doesn't matter. And how'd you deal with it?
Man, that's another great question, Ed. This is awesome. Because I have a aloha and big heart, I tend to say yes a lot. And some of the yeses turns into great learning lessons. I'm going through a great learning lesson right now because I'm a coach as well. Reach my hand out to students. They come to bring opportunity our way. So signed on the dotted line to do a project, and the project is going to be at a loss. And I'm the only one standing at the end and making sure that this thing gets finished, because my brand, my name, me personally, like I said, Pono, like I make sure that when I borrow money or I sign that dotted line, I do what I say I'm going to do. And the other people that I teamed up with doesn't have the same ethics or commitment.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
okay.
I learned.
I admire your character.
It's not all wins. It's all like,
oh, it's not. No, we all have those experiences, right?
The losses, even this is not even a loss. It's all, I'd call it learning lessons. Even if you make mistakes, it's a great learning lesson to be able to, it's just a setback to come back stronger.
Right on. Yeah, it's the old saying, that which does not kill me only makes me stronger.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm curious about, you mentioned that you read Rich Dad, Poor Dad and some other books. I'm curious today, like, what are some of the books you read today, and who are the authors that you pay attention to?
I've just been watching a lot of YouTube channels like Dean Graziosi, Tony Robbins, Grant Cardone, Brian Pineda, all these guys that they just motivate me. Just watching them and listening to podcasts, like just little things, just keeping the mind sharp. And that's where I go to. I'm really not reading books. I wrote my own book recently. That was a feat in itself. It wasn't easy. I needed a team to help me. If you don't mind, like I wrote the book Price Out of Paradise, How to Build Wealth Investing in Real Estate the Pono Way. So it's 99 cents on Amazon. on Kindle.
We'll put
and
links in
then,
the show notes. I'm so glad you mentioned that.
$20 for a hard copy. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to reading.
Like I still grab small books, like other guys that's from Hawaii called Alan Akina. He's a one-on-one financial coach that teaches people how to fix their finances and manage their money, which is, I think, one of the number one things that people need to do first is fix your...
Yeah, they don't teach you in school. They should.
Yeah, fix your credit, because that'll help big time.
So how do you define success in your life?
Yeah, success is from just learning. I'm almost 49 years old, so just learning from basically mistakes and not doing the same thing over and over, right? And like success is when you're able to wake up and you're happy with what you're doing. And if you're not happy with what you're doing, what are you doing about it, right? I wake up and put the socks on the same way and then go work for that same, do something. Like I said earlier, success not going to come to you. You got to go get it.
Nothing changes until you change.
I mean, just being happy with your life and doing what you love doing, I think is success. So like for surfing, like I'm not the best at surfing, but I'm good at it. I know the conditions. I know how to deal with bigger waves, how to surf big waves and stuff like that. But I'm not the top of the world, but I feel like I'm able to be successful in and get sponsors and travel the world. And I'm just going in circles. Yeah, as you can see, I got my surfboard in the background to share.
So Fuzzy, I suspect this is going to be the answer, but what we were just talking about. But when you're not talking about real estate or helping people learn, what do you like to do for fun?
I like to spend time with my family, number one. Right. And then we go to the beach and stuff. I golf with my daughter and my wife. That's one of our fun pastimes. But of course, I live in this big blue ocean over here, the Pacific Ocean. So I grew up as a waterman, fishing and surfing. So surfing is like my pastime. That's where I go to get my zen.
Yeah, that's awesome. So if folks want to learn more about you or your mastermind or anything else, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
I got my website called fuzzyjardine.com. We got the Hui Mastermind.com. And then I'm on Instagram. We're at HIFUZZ, at HIFuzz. And then we also have a YouTube channel called Investing in Hawaii, which is an awesome channel to help educate for free, right? There's a lot of free information on that we do, but then we also have paid a coaching program we just recently turned it into a lifetime access. Once you become a student, you can have us in your back pocket and we're here for you.
That's awesome. Yep. I love that. All right. Fuzzy Jardine, thank you so much for joining us today, man. Your story is an inspiration and I wish you continued success. Good luck.
Thank you, Ed. Appreciate the opportunity and get out there and take action, you guys. Take action because the action that could come to you. Aloha.
This has been the Real Estate Underground. Don't forget to subscribe. It helps us grow. Until next time, Undergrounders, remember your real estate journey begins with a simple step forward. Now get to it. Bye for now.